This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock has tips to protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report phishing, and update the software on your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, let LifeLock alert you to suspicious uses of your personal information. LifeLock also fixes identity theft, guaranteed or your money back. Stay smart, safe, and protected with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply. This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, October 20th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Rain this morning, sunshine this afternoon, high 68. Tonight and overnight, clear, low 52. And then Tuesday, sunshine, high 70. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 65 cloudy in Suffern up in Rockland County, 64 and raining in Jackson over in New Jersey, and it's 65 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
A wild scene in a Bronx subway station. Just 15 days till we pick a new mayor. Some Long Islanders very unhappy that George Santos is a free man. A mom in Mauritius needs your help finding her missing son. The Great White Way could go dark. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. There was this wild scene on the tracks. This was in the Bronx, number 4 train, when a couple cars became detached from the actual subway train last night. This was right near the Grand Concourse station. So the good news is there were no injuries, but you can imagine how freaked out people were when they realized they were on a car that was no longer attached to the subway itself.
Hyperventilating, panicking. I'm just waiting for my son to get off the train right now. Honestly, I've been standing here for over an hour waiting for my son to get off this train.
So that's a woman who raced down to the subway station to see if her son was okay. Thank God he was. It's unclear how many people were on this train at the time.
He just said that the power went out. The conductor didn't say too much of anything of what's going on.
It's very alarming and it's scary for passengers. We don't know if this could have been a rail problem or this could have been an issue with the train itself.
Yeah, this is the first time I've heard of that in a long time, that the train cars become detached from the train. So it led to just a slew of delays last night, of course, as the MTA went in to investigate. And, of course, riders say, unfortunately, they're used to this kind of thing.
If you live in the Bronx, you cannot reliably get home on the weekends and often late at night. It is a travesty.
Now, they brought in a rescue train to get the people off those detached cars. I don't know if they just halted, they stopped. We didn't really get word from the MTA. I guess they'll give us more details this morning.
Honestly, it's really unfair. There's not like a lot of improvements that they said they were going to do. So it's just like false hopes and then just taking everyone's money.
Yeah, but the good news, again, all passengers were able to exit the station safely and no reports of injuries. Over in New Jersey, state police investigating a deadly multiple vehicle turnpike crash that took place Sunday that killed 4. The head-on collision happened just after midnight in Carneys Point Township. That's in Salem County. It involved a pickup truck and an SUV that was carrying 4 yeshiva students. All of them were killed. The truck driver was seriously injured. A tractor trailer also smashed into the SUV following the initial crash. State police promised they'll give us more details on that crash this morning. And while we're in New Jersey, a New Jersey college student in critical condition after what officials are calling a hazing incident.
The Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office says police responded to a residence just before 12:30 Wednesday morning in New Brunswick, where they found a 19-year-old Rutgers student unresponsive. Rutgers, in a statement, said the incident is under investigation. The Alpha Sigma Phi fraternity has issued a statement offering prayers to the victim and says the Rutgers chapter has been placed on an interim suspension.
Yeah, no word why we didn't get details of this sooner. longer, but that story broke over the weekend, even though it happened on Wednesday. All right, we're just 15 days separate us from our newly elected mayor. The candidate's trying to take advantage of every remaining second on the campaign trail, trying to convince voters they're the best person for the job. There were fresh attacks launched yesterday. Andrew Cuomo, former governor, referencing this photo that was posted on X that showed Zohran Mamdani next to Imam Siraj Wahhaj, who is a controversial New York religious leader. Here was Governor Cuomo talking about this yesterday, asking why Zohran Mamdani is taking pictures with this individual.
Mr. Wahhaj was an unindicted co-conspirator in the 93 World Trade Center bombing. What is your problem with condemning terrorism? It is the easiest thing to condemn.
Zohran Mamdani responding to Cuomo yesterday afternoon.
Same imam met with Mayor Bloomberg, met with Mayor de Blasio, campaigned alongside Eric Adams. And the only time it became an issue of national attention was when I met with him. And that's because of the fact of my faith and because I'm on the precipice of winning this election.
Republican Curtis Sliwa taking to Facebook about the picture, saying Siraj Wahhaj is dangerous, and he says it's disturbing to see Zohran Mamdani standing next to him. Curtis spent Sunday in attack mode. He took shots at both of his opponents, emphasizing that he has no plans, by the way, to quit ahead of their upcoming second debate that takes place Wednesday.
Zohran Mamdani, his only answer to everything is affordability. Andrew Cuomo, he doesn't understand. He's no longer relevant. His time is past. And I'm going to make that very apparent to everybody who will be watching and listening.
He's talking about the debate coming up on Wednesday. Some heavy hitters have yet to endorse a candidate yet. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who represents Brooklyn, has not endorsed Zohran Mamdani yet. Neither has Senator Chuck Schumer. What do voters think? You know, we've gotten a lot of that. I think a lot of people are like, let's just do this thing already. They're tired of the build up to the big race.
I'm a Republican, so I got to go with Curtis.
I am. I already made up my mind. So I'm just waiting for to vote, and I'll be there to vote because I do my part.
I'm going to vote, yes. I'm vote for Cuomo. He's proven his record as a good governor.
I'm still disturbed by Zohran Mamdani's inability to condemn Hamas, so I'm still behind Andrew Cuomo, flaws and all.
Okay, New Yorkers can agree on one thing.
New York really needs change, though. Can't keep having it like the way it is now.
As a New Yorker who's lived here all my life, something has got to be done because this city is going down.
Okay, lots of polls coming out in the last couple days. Early voting starts on Saturday. So, I mean, we're just days away from getting this race underway. There's one Fox News poll that is 2 days old, shows Zohran Mamdani 52%, followed by Cuomo at 28% and Curtis Sliwa at 14%. But then there's another poll out that has the race a whole lot closer between Zohran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo. So my guess is you're going to hear the calls for Curtis Sliwa to get out of the race even larger in the next 24, 48 hours, especially with a new survey that shows the race has tightened a whole lot between, at least in this one poll, between Zohran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo. WABC News Time 5:08. God bless you, by the way, Joe Nolan. Each of New Jersey's major candidates for governor now have presidential endorsements. Former President Barack Obama releasing a video over the weekend backing Democrat Mikey Sherrill, saying the Congresswoman has what he calls integrity and grit. And then, of course, President Trump endorsed Republican Jack Ciattarelli earlier this year, calling the former state assemblyman a terrific America First candidate, noting his positions on illegal immigration. The election, of course, is the same day as the mayoral election here in the city, November 4th. Early in-person voting in New Jersey also begins on Saturday. Almost every poll shows Mikey Sherrill with between a 4 to 6 point lead. So this race in New Jersey awfully close. Over to Brooklyn, where a fire yesterday morning at a Borough Park building left 30 people with minor injuries. Happened on the first floor of a 4-story building, 54th Street. Neighbors on the scene said many of those injured were young children. Now, we're being told all the injuries are minor, but some people are still in the hospital. They're being treated for smoke inhalation. It took firefighters about an hour to get that blaze under control. Not immediately clear what ignited it all. Broadway continues to face a possible strike as a contract between musicians and Broadway producers remains so far out of reach.
Things were looking brighter on Saturday on word that a tentative settlement had been reached with actors. But the New York Times reports there's still no agreement with musicians who've been working since the end of August on an expired contract. The paper says their union hopes to meet again with producers this week. The musicians are seeking improvements in pay and benefits. A strike would be the first major walkout on Broadway since 2007. I'm Larry Kofsky, NBC News Radio.
Multiple people wounded in a shooting on the Oklahoma State University campus in Stillwater yesterday. Police say everything was over by the time they arrived outside a residential hall on the campus.
We were able to secure the scene, make sure it was safe for our students, was the number one priority, and start investigating and find out what happened.
One of the victims is a student. Police say it happened after people attending a large off-campus party returned to the residential hall, and that's when the bullets flew.
Then we started getting more directions of where it was at. It was on McElroy at one of our residential halls, outside of one of our residential halls.
All the victims are being treated at hospitals in Oklahoma City and in Tulsa. So far, the gunman, at least as of 5:11 this morning, is still on loose. FBI leading the investigation into the discovery of a hunting stand near the Air Force One landing zone in Florida.
A spokesperson for the U.S. Secret Service confirmed agents made the discovery last week during a security sweep ahead of the president's arrival in Palm Beach. No individuals were found at the location, but officials noted the teams identified items of interest. The agency confirmed the hunting stand has a direct line of sight to the restricted parking area for Air Force One. Trump traveled to Florida Friday to spend the weekend in West Palm Beach. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Let's go down to Washington, where the president says imposing an additional 100% tariff on China may not be sustainable for the economy. The president making the comments on Fox News Sunday.
That's what the number is. It's probably not, it could stand, but they forced me to do that.
This comes as President Trump still on track to meet with the Chinese President Xi Jinping in the next few weeks, despite the recent trade frictions between the two largest economies in the world.
We're going to meet in a couple of weeks. We're going to meet in South Korea, actually, with President Xi and other people, too. But we're going to meet. We have a separate meeting. I think we're going to be fine with China, but we have to have a fair deal. It's got to be fair.
While we're talking about overseas affairs, Ukrainian President Zelensky says long-range Tomahawk missiles needed amid the nation's war against Russia. He was on Meet the Press yesterday, said the Russians are afraid of weapons being in their hands.
They're afraid that United States can deliver Ukraine. I think that Putin afraid that United States will deliver us Tomahawks. And I think that he really afraid that we will use it.
Now, multiple outlets were reporting over the weekend that President Trump told the Ukrainian president that no, he wasn't going to give him these long-range missiles. But it seems that story might be changed.
It's very difficult just to operate with only with Ukrainian drones. We need long-range Tomahawks and similar. United States has similar things. And I'm honest, it's good that President Trump didn't say no. But for today, didn't say yes.
Now, not too long after this interview, the president said he was looking, he said, those are his quotes, looking at Ukraine's request for those Tomahawk missiles amid the war with Russia.
And I've been very good to President Zelensky and to Ukraine, but we can't give, if we're going to be short, I don't want to do that. I can't jeopardize the United States. Remember one thing, we need them for ourselves, too. We can't give all of our weapons to Ukraine. We just can't do that.
Now, from Ukraine, let's go to the Middle East, where Gaza's fragile ceasefire faced its first major test yesterday. Israeli forces launched a wave of deadly strikes, saying Hamas militants had killed 2 Israeli soldiers, and an Israeli security official says the transfer of aid into the territory was halted for a time yesterday. Israel's military said it hit multiple targets in the Gaza Strip using aircraft and artillery after it accused Hamas of shooting those 2 Israeli soldiers who the military later confirmed were killed. So the military later says it resumed enforcing the ceasefire and they began letting food deliveries back into the Gaza Strip. This was late yesterday. This is as President Trump reiterating his warning to Hamas to disarm following the ceasefire.
These are very violent people. This is a very violent part of the world. Nobody's seen violence like this. If we have to, we'll disarm.
Now, Hamas laying down those weapons is the next phase of the president's 20-point Middle East peace plan.
So it's not a hard timeline, but it's a line in my own mind. And at a certain point, if they don't do what they're supposed to do, then we'll have to do it for them.
Yeah, now officials with the U.S. State Department have been claiming Hamas had been planning an attack against Palestinians in the Gaza Strip.
Any such attack would be a violation of the Israeli ceasefire agreement. In a statement Saturday, State Department officials said it had credible reports indicating an imminent ceasefire violation by Hamas against the people of Gaza, adding if Hamas proceeds with the attack, measures will be taken to protect the people of Gaza and preserve the integrity of the ceasefire. Leaders with Hamas call the allegations Israeli propaganda and call on U.S. officials to stop repeating Israel's misleading narrative. I'm Scott Carr in Washington.
In a moment, we'll go to the Louvre in Paris, where there was a wild robbery yesterday. We'll get into that in just a moment. For first 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Ella.
Good morning to you, Noam Liddon. Start here on the gridiron. Exciting weekend it was here, NFL Week 7 out in Denver. After shutting out the Broncos for 3 quarters, the Giants watched them score on their last 5 drives to erase what at its largest was a 19-point lead en route to a heartbreaking 33-32 last-second loss thanks to a Will Lutz 39-yard field goal as time expired. When the Broncos trailed 26-8 with about 6.5 minutes remaining in the game and were facing 4th and 3, their win probability was less than 1%, according to Next Gen Stats. And then after Jackson Dart seemingly broke the Broncos' hearts with a 1-yard TD with 37 seconds left, I should say, that gave New York a 32-30 lead. New York then missed their second extra point of the afternoon, and after Tyler Beatty returned the kickoff 19 yards to the 23, Knicks found Marvin Mims for 29 yards and Cortland Sutton for 22, and with no timeouts remaining, Broncos raced to the line of scrimmage at the Giants 21, and Knicks spiked the ball with 2 seconds left, and that ripped the hearts out of Giants fans across the city. Almost we're looking down the barrel. 2 straight wins there for the G-men. Couldn't squeak it out in Denver. Up next for the Giants, they'll visit the divisional rival Eagles for the second time in 3 weeks. Comes Sunday in Philadelphia. At MetLife, the Jets remained winless on the season, falling to 0-7 in the form of a 13-6 loss to the Carolina Panthers. Aaron Glenn is the first coach in franchise history to lose the first 7 games of his tenure. The Jets also joined the 96 and 2020 squads as the only teams to start 0-7. And now they also have a major question in a quarterback. Trailing in the third quarter, Justin Fields was benched in favor of Tyrod Taylor. Fields was 6 of 12 for 46 yards in the first 2 quarters, unable to do much with the offense with top wide receiver Garrett Wilson out with a knee injury. Glenn then decided to make the change. Taylor moved the offense with a little more success than Fields, but his 2 interception short-circuited drives. Taylor was 10 of 22 for 126 yards. Glenn was uncertain who will be the starting quarterback next Sunday when the Jets face the Bengals in Cincinnati, saying he needed to take some time to consider the situation. Obviously, he'll have to come up with that decision probably latest by Wednesday, so we'll see what head coach Glenn there decides. Tonight, another double installment of Monday Night Football, 7 p.m. The 5-1 Buccaneers are at the 4-2 Lions. It's a good game here. Lions are 5.5-point home favorites there. And at 10 p.m. tonight, the Texans, 2-3 right now, at the 4-2 Seahawks. Seattle, 3.5-point home favorites in that contest. And head to the Diamond here. Final from Toronto. The Blue Jays beat the Mariners in ALCS Game 6. That's tying that series now at 3 games apiece. And you know what that means? Game 7 tonight at 8:08 p.m. from Toronto for all the marbles. Who's going to be meeting the LA Dodgers in this year's installment of the Fall Classic? And the NHL tonight, just one contest to look forward to. The Rangers back at home at MSU welcoming the Minnesota Wild for a 7 p.m. puck drop. That's your Sports Know, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:20. President Trump says Venezuela's president doesn't want to mess around with the U.S.
Trump said that before a cabinet meeting Friday, using a 4-letter expletive in place of the word mess when he spoke.
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to around with the United States. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
His comments come as tensions between Trump and Venezuelan President Maduro continue to rise, with another U.S. strike against a suspected drug boat in Caribbean waters on Thursday. Venezuela says 6 people were killed, and multiple reports say the U.S. is holding survivors of that strike aboard a Navy ship. I'm Jim Forbes.
Let's head over to France, where thieves used a basket lift to break into the Louvre yesterday morning. This is when it was open and there were tourists inside, forced a window, smashed display cases, and escaped with jewels of what's called inestimable value. Around 9:30 yesterday morning, several intruders forced open a window, stole those jewels, and then fled on what they described as two-wheelers. After breaking windows, they stole 9 pieces from the jewelry collection of Napoleon. One of those stolen jewels was dropped outside of the museum. Of course, the Louvre has this long history of thefts and attempted robberies. They didn't catch up with these people so far. The most famous, 1911, when the Mona Lisa vanished from its frame, stolen by a worker who hid inside the museum and walked out with the painting under his coat. It was recovered 2 years later in Florence, an episode that made that Leonardo da Vinci portrait one of the world best known artworks. Have you ever gone to the Louvre? It's the most disappointing thing in the world to get to the Mona Lisa. And you're like, wow, that's small. You can't believe how small it is. Let's bring it back home down to Washington. Speaker of House Mike Johnson slamming Democrats amid the ongoing government shutdown. He says the other side of the aisle needs to start being serious about negotiating an end to this.
I refuse to allow us to come back and engage in anything until the government's reopened, when the Democrats do the right thing for the people. They're playing politics, and we have to use every ounce of leverage we have to make sure they do the right thing.
His comments come as the government shutdown, now the third longest funding lapse in modern history.
Chuck Schumer is afraid that one of these Marxists is going to run against him in his next reelect, and he has to get political cover. When he did the right thing in March, and he voted for the nearly identical CR, he took massive heat from the far left. Many of the groups that were out there protesting yesterday, he can't face them again.
Democrat lawmakers holding firm on this health care demands as the federal government shutdown rolls on. Yet House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries taking to all the news shows saying decisive action needs to be taken to take care of Americans.
We need to reopen the government, stand by our hardworking federal civil servants, but we also, of course, have to decisively address the health care crisis that Republicans have visited upon the American people. We're talking about the largest cut to Medicaid in American history.
He says GOP policies are hurting too many Americans, and that's why this government shutdown is lagging on.
Hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers are closing all across America because of what Republicans have done with their one big ugly bill, and now they refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
And President Trump slamming Democrats yesterday over the shutdown.
I think he's just so dead that he'll do anything. I think they could just stay out forever. I mean, to be honest with you.
Government shutdown set to enter another week. Well, it really has entered another week. No clear end in sight after senators failed for the 10th time to resolve the impasse with votes. And that last vote was on Thursday. And as this government shutdown heads into another week, experts are warning anyone planning to fly to be prepared to wait, because those are government workers that will work at the TSA and in the control towers. And as they go on longer and they don't get checks, poor people are calling in sick.
Traveling through most of our airports, we're seeing an average delay right now of about 45 minutes.
Okay, that's not terrible, but that's travel editor Peter Greenberg, who says those numbers could skyrocket the longer these delays and the shutdown continues.
I've been on probably 4 flights this week. None of them took off on time because air traffic control wouldn't release them to take off because they could not handle the load. We're going to start seeing that increase almost exponentially the longer this goes on.
And Credenberg says he fears about what's ahead if the shutdown stretches into the Thanksgiving travel period, because last year the Thanksgiving travel period was the biggest in history.
Last year was a record number of air travelers over Thanksgiving, and this year is trending 2% above that.
Yeah, won't be good. Meanwhile, Southwest Airlines says it'll soon change its boarding process.
The Dallas-based airline, which has used open seating for over 50 years, will move to assigned seating starting on January 27th. The airline's website announced the change, along with a completely new boarding system. The revamp, internally called Project USA, has been in testing for months in Houston and Cancun, Mexico. Travelers, including frequent flyers and credit card holders with boarding benefits and those who purchase extra legroom, will automatically be assigned to early boarding groups. I'm Jim Forbes.
525, University of Virginia. Now the fifth school to reject a deal proposed by the White House to make policy changes in exchange for federal funding benefits.
The deal would have required the University of Virginia to limit international students and otherwise align with the priorities of the Trump administration. The interim president at UVA says while the school agreed with some of the principles in the proposed compact, it wants no special treatment regarding funding. Other schools that have rejected the compact include the University of Southern California, the University of Pennsylvania, MIT, and Rhode Island's Brown University. I'm Scott Carr in Washington.
Did you see these No Kings protests over the weekend nationwide? There was a pretty big one here in New York City.
I'm 68, and I don't want to live in a country with a dictator. This is America. We're supposed to be free.
Organizers,
I want to be free.
Oh, sorry about that. Organizers claim 7 million took part across the country.
It's not the direction our country needs to go. We're going to be celebrating 250 years, and why would we ruin it all and turn it into like a banana republic?
President Trump says he thinks the No Kings protests over the weekend, he finds them laughable.
I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not representative of this country. The demonstrations were very small, very ineffective, and the people were whacked out. When you look at those people, those are not representative of the people of our country.
And he posted a video of himself flying over a large rally and dropping brown sludge on protesters. Obviously, this was an AI video.
The AI-generated video posted Saturday night shows Trump wearing a crown as he pilots a fighter jet with the words, quote, King Trump on the side, and then flying over a large rally and dumping what appears to be a fecal matter on the protesters. Earlier in the day, the president shared an AI-generated video that Vice President Vance had posted, which shows Trump placing a crown on his head while top Democrats kneel before him. I'm Jim Ford.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam.
On 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, October 20th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Rain this morning, sunshine this afternoon, high 68. Tonight and overnight, clear, low 52. And then Tuesday, sunshine, high 70. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 65 cloudy and suffering up in Rockland County. 64 and raining in Jackson over in New Jersey. And it's 65 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 5:39. It is just 15 days till Election Day now. Democratic nominee frontrunner Zohran Mamdani still looking for some big endorsements. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has failed to give him an endorsement. Neither has Senator Chuck Schumer. Here was Hakeem Jeffries talking about that over the weekend.
And we'll certainly have more to say about the mayor's race and about our Democratic nominee prior to early voting beginning.
I mean, the truth is it really doesn't matter. Mamdani has a commanding lead over Cuomo in most polls. He was out in Queens yesterday.
What I'm hearing from New Yorkers time and time again is that they want a change in our politics. They want a city that can be more than just a place that they struggle. And they're seeing that no matter, for all the discussion of who's on the ballot, it's more of a question of what's on the ballot.
Curtis Sliwa, he was in Sheepshead Bay yesterday. They're protesting a shelter, a homeless shelter on Coyle Street. He's been pretty intimately involved in this protest from even before he announced his candidacy.
My opponents, they want to destroy residential neighborhoods with the city of both Zohran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo.
Andrew Cuomo sitting down with ABC News, a local ABC affiliate, over the weekend, again trying to convince Curtis Sliwa to drop out of the race, suggesting that if he does, he has a shot to beat Zohran Mamdani.
A vote for Curtis Sliwa is, in my opinion, in essence, a vote for Zohran Mamdani.
He needs to blame himself. For the last 9 days, he hasn't even been campaigning.
Yeah, okay, so Cuomo, if you missed it, was on with Sid and Friends in the Morning on Friday morning, and he really went after Curtis pretty hard.
You know that a Republican is not going to win mayor of New York City. It is not going to happen. Curtis Lewa, no. You want to like him, guardian angel. He knows the trains, can draw the subway map. Great. Make him the train safety czar. Qualifications to run for mayor? Come on.
Yeah, so he was asking just everybody to convince Curtis to drop out. It's not going to happen.
Because the race is between me and Mondami. That's why. Mondami wasn't attacking Curtis, and I wasn't attacking Curtis. Because it's not about Curtis. It's just not. He is there as a spoiler. That's why they put him there.
Cuomo campaign pointing to a new poll that's out today that shows the race a little bit closer than the other polls, saying that if Cuomo, if Curtis drops out, that Cuomo could potentially pick up those votes. 542. NYPD cops over the weekend arresting and charging a man in connection to that grisly discovery of body parts stuffed in a trash bag in Flatbush. They charged 38-year-old Christopher Mars with concealment of human corpse. On Friday, a neighbor found a man's head and torso in the trash outside this building on 21st Street in Flatbush.
Crazy to think that something like this happens, and somewhere where it's supposed to be like safe and stuff, and I also have my two siblings that, live with me, my parents, so it's like, it's crazy to think that something like this happened just above it.
Yeah, I'd be a little freaked out too. The superintendent of the building saw a tenant who placed several bags in the trash on Friday. Neighbors say that the man is the roommate and boyfriend of the man that was found dead and dismembered. And people say they remember the two outside on the street smoking cigarettes together.
He was just, ranting and raving about, I think the other young man was not letting him in. Wouldn't let him because he was banging on the door.
Did it seem like a toxic relationship at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. His torso and head were found in a blue trash bin wrapped in plastic. 543, former Congressman George Santos speaking out. His first interview after being released from prison. He went to CNN, was on with Dana Bash, State of the Union yesterday. Following his release, the president commuted his sentence over the weekend.
Repentance is an understatement. It's like I have been dealt a second chance. I have a lot to prove to a lot of people, and I have to make sure President Trump understands that I am not going to disappoint him.
Santos had been sentenced to 7 years after pleading guilty to fraud and identity theft, in addition to paying $380,000 in restitution. He only served was 3 months in the end prior to the commutation. He says now that he's out, he will advocate for a better prison system.
Not in a partisan way, in a real human ways, in a way that we affect it, that it helps society, it helps these individuals rebuild their lives, and we have a better system with less incarcerated people. America today has 250,000 federal inmates approximately, and I think it would be much nicer to look at reducing that number. And if I can be a part of helping that, I think that would be a great road to follow in the future.
Now, in a post on social media, the president said Santos has been horribly mistreated. Therefore, I signed a commutation releasing George Santos from prison immediately. And then he wrote, "Good luck, George. Have a great life." Now, some Long Islanders say he should have never been let out for what he did. Here's one of them speaking out yesterday.
What is the message that this tells young people? What does it tell other members of Congress? If you're a member of Congress and you vote the way Donald Trump wants you to, it's fine to crime.
George Santos himself will be on live with Sid on Sid and Friends in the morning at 9:30 this morning. You'll want to definitely hear that one coming up. All right, also coming up, we'll hear from a Mauritius mom who desperately needs your help finding her teenage son who went missing on Friday. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Here's Justin Ella.
Thank you, Noam Layden. We'll start on the gridiron here out in Denver. After shutting out the Broncos for 3 quarters, the Giants watched them score on their last 5 drives to erase what at its largest was a 19-point lead en route to a heartbreaking 33-32 last-second loss thanks to a Will Lutz 39-yard field goal as time expired. When the Broncos trailed 26-8 with 6.5 minutes remaining in the game. And
were you watching this game?
No.
Oh, heartbreaking is not even enough of a word.
Yeah, I caught some of the beginning of it, but they jumped out to such an early lead that it became a no contest for me, to be honest with you.
We thought so, yeah.
Yeah, I thought they would really skate to the win. and he played well. I mean, listen, you look at this offense for the New York Football Giants here, and you've got your pieces to at least move forward here. Obviously, you lost Malik Neighbors for the season, which is a huge hit. But I mean, if you imagine him, during these last couple game stretches, I mean, this offense is putting up crazy points, and he would only help contribute to that. So, I mean, you get Malik Neighbors back out on the outside with Scatterbo and with Dart, then this offense becomes that much more dangerous next season. So things are looking up for the Giants regardless.
So you're telling me I got to wait till next season, though?
Well, I don't know.
What are they, 2-5? Yeah.
We'll see what happens this weekend in Philadelphia.
Okay.
We shall see. Looking forward to that contest. But, Giants really just fell off a wagon yesterday, the defense, that is, and they missed that extra point after scoring Jackson Dart that 1-yard TD with 37 seconds left, and you thought that was the end of the game for a second time. But then Tyler Beatty returns the kickoff for Denver, 19 yards to 23. Nix finds Marvin Mims for 29 yards and Cortland Sutton for 22. And thereafter, no timeouts remaining. The Broncos race to the line of scrimmage at the Giants' 21. Nix spiked the ball with 2 seconds left, and the rest is history. Up next for the Giants, they will visit those division rival Eagles in Philadelphia this coming weekend. At MetLife, the Jets remained winless on the season, falling to 0-7 in the form of a 13-6 loss to the Carolina Panthers. Aaron Glenn, he's the first head coach in Jets history to start his tenure 0-7, and he did bench Justin Fields yesterday in favor of Tyrod Taylor. Fields was 6 of 12 for 46 yards in the first 2 quarters, unable to do much with the offense, and then Taylor moved the offense with a little more success than Fields, but his 2 interceptions short-circuited drives. Glenn, he's uncertain who will be the starting quarterback next Sunday when the Jets face the Bengals in Cincinnati, saying he needed to take some time to consider that situation. So we'll keep you updated on what he decides later on this week. Tonight, another doubleheader of Monday Night Football. Got to get ready for that. 7 p.m., 5-1 Bucks at the 4-2 Lions. Detroit, they're 5.5-point home favorites, and at 10 p.m. tonight, none of us will be watching a second of this game, but it's a 2-3 Texans in Seattle against the 4-2 Seahawks. Seahawks, they're 3.5-point home favorites, and on the diamond, the Blue Jays beat the Mariners 6-2 in ALCS Game 6. The series is now knotted, obviously, at 3 games apiece. Game 7 tonight, 8:08 p.m. from Toronto.
Yeah. Ohtani on Saturday?
It was the greatest.
Oh my
the greatest sports performance I think I've ever seen. Yeah.
So he had 10 strikeouts and 3 home runs.
Yeah, it's got to be the single greatest stat line in any sport, I would think. I can't think of a better. You've never seen anything like that before.
I mean, I stayed up to watch the game. I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, this is history being made right in front of me.
Yeah,
outrageous.
I mean, they at this point, it's pretty much a sure thing that they're going to run away with back-to-back world champion. And listen, anything can happen in the World Series here. Blue Jays are playing some good baseball right now. If they win Game 7 tonight, you never know, obviously. But the Dodgers, man, they are just a wagon. And if Ohtani's going in throwing 10 Ks every time he starts and hitting 3 home runs, what are you going to do?
Him, yeah.
You can't stop the guy. So, we're looking ahead to that. Obviously, the winner of tonight's Game 7 in the ALCS has the right to face those LA Dodgers in the Fall Classic. And the Rangers on the ice tonight will wrap out with this dome late, and they will welcome the Minnesota Wild for a 7 p.m. puck drop. That's your sports. I'm Justin Ellick, 77 WABC.
WABC News Time, 5:50. By the way, that Dodgers game was Friday night. I guess I said Saturday night. Boy, you message me, guys, when I get something wrong. I'm sitting there, I'm getting these messages. The game was Friday, not Saturday. Okay, it was Friday. It was still unbelievable. Ohtani during that game, incredible. A Long Island teacher is accused of attempting to engage in sexually explicit online chats with a girl he believed was 13 years old.
37-year-old Mark Verity, a teacher at Wading River Elementary School, is facing charges including attempted dissemination of indecent material to a minor and attempted use of a child under 17 in a sexual performance. ABC 7 reports an adult member of the watchdog group Predator Poachers Long Island allegedly posed as a 13-year-old girl and chatted online with Verity, then met with Verity in person with police. The watchdog group video recorded the confrontation, which allegedly shows Verity admitting he messed up and also admitting he possessed child pornography. I'm Lisa Salvati.
A Mauritius, Long Island mom pleading for help finding her 14-year-old son who hasn't been seen since Friday. Christy Stark says her son Liam was dropped off at school by his older brother that morning on Friday, but never went inside the building. In fact, school security cameras show him walking towards the building before turning around and leaving. Now, here's his mom.
According to the school's cameras, he started walking towards the school, and it sounds like you can kind of watch him contemplating suddenly, am I going? Am I not?
And it gets more heartbreaking. The surveillance video also shows Liam wiping away tears before walking away from the school building on Friday. Stark says her son's been struggling with some personal trauma lately. She believes he may be trying to cope with it on his own. She says her only focus, of course, right now is finding her son and bringing him home safely.
I just want to give him the world. I just wish I keep sending out the love to him and hoping that he can feel it wherever he is and that it can help and he can come home.
And what cops told us over the weekend is Liam was last seen Friday evening on Smith Road near Wortham Road in Shirley. Of course, cops urging anybody who may know him or have information on him to give him a ring. A New Jersey Democratic congressman is furious that the owners of Monmouth Medical Center in Long Branch plan on transferring most of their services to Tinton Falls to form a new hospital. Congressman Frank Pallone criticizing Governor Murphy and the state health department for signing off on the RWJ Barnabas plan that leaves residents in Long Branch without any nearby services.
Closing a hospital that serves minority and low-income people in order to build a concierge hospital that is going to make them more profit. This is a trend in the country.
There's been no comment yet from RWJ Barnabas or the Murphy administration.
But this is effectively a closure of the hospital in Long Branch, an abandonment of the underserved minority community to move to an area where there are wealthier patients.
WABC News Time 5:54. Let's bring it back here into the city. Broadway could really soon go dark after two major labor unions authorized a strike. They brought a mediator in on Friday, but apparently they could not come up with a deal. More than 50,000 unionized singers, actors, dancers, and musicians are currently working under an expired deal. And Broadway fans, well, they're worried that this might actually take place.
They don't get paid nearly as much as they should. They don't get nearly as many breaks as they should. And so if they go on strike, I'll be a little disappointed that I can't come see shows as much, but I'll wait as long as I need for them to get whatever they need.
So the sticking points are, for both unions, are pay increases, higher contributions towards employee health care costs.
I think the most I've seen for a ticket has been well over $500, and that's insane to me because those people on that stage are not getting paid the same amount that we're paying to see them.
Unions argue that Broadway has rebounded since its hiatus during the pandemic, bringing in nearly $2 billion last year, overtaking the $1.8 billion that were generated during the pre-pandemic season of 2019. Broadway's last major strike, you have to go back to 2007. It lasted 19 days. Up to the Bronx, where a rare bloom is happening as we speak.
That smell, the kind of smelly smell. The smelly smell that smells smelly.
That smelly smell would be the world-famous corpse flower. The flower is known for its strong and unpleasant smell, which, believe it or not, attracts major crowds. It opens once every 3 to 5 years after it first opens, which could take up to a decade. If you want to watch the towering 9-foot flower bloom, you can see it at the New York Botanical Garden around Halloween, or if you'd rather see and not smell it, you can watch it via live stream. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
And have you ever dreamed about owning a life-size dinosaur? Well, here's your chance now.
The Field Station Dinosaurs theme park in Leonia, New Jersey is selling off its 31 animatronic dinosaurs, including some that growl and roar. Park's president, Guy Gassell, has decided to close the park after 13 years. One of the dinosaurs up for sale includes a life-size, slightly used T-Rex for $2,700. There's also a Stegosaurus that's over 29 feet long and will run you just over $1,300. Lisa G., 77 WABC News.
I remember taking my youngest kid to that dinosaur park when he was about 5 years old. He loved dinosaurs, so we thought, let's take him there. Oh, my God, he freaked out when those dinosaurs started moving, screaming, crying. We had to pull them from the park. So you know what? I think I'm going to go out and buy one of those dinosaurs just to harass the poor boy. All right, 5:57, traffic, transit on the 7s. Here's Joe Nolan.
Yeah, really, why wouldn't you? If you could, really buy one of those.
I can't. Did she say? I wasn't paying attention. She say how much they were?
$2,500, I thought she said.
Oh, that's not terrible for an animatronic dinosaur.
That's a lot of money, but still, try someone like you that makes as much as you do. $2,500.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I'm making that as we speak. Yeah. He's 17 years old now, so my guess is he wouldn't be that freaked out by it.
No,
if I brought
probably
it home.
not.
Yeah.
That's something, though, later on you put it on his front lawn one day. When you get the house,
Right, exactly.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.